I listened very attentively to our panelists here this evening, and I think they've shown up to the wrong committee. Quite frankly, we're not doing a study on Israel's right to exist from the river to the sea, and we're not doing a study in terms of Palestinians' right to exist within Israel or whatever the case may be. That is for our Foreign Affairs Committee to study. This is a study here by a Human Rights Committee on anti-Semitism in Canada. And quite honestly, I haven't heard much recognition of the intolerable circumstances that the Jewish community is living in right now and what solutions you're recommending for us to overcome it. My question is the following, and that is to the two representatives of IJV. Are you familiar with an organization, CJPME, Canadians for Justice and Peace in the Middle East? And why is it that your organization is registered in the same office in Montreal as Canadians for Justice and Peace in the Middle East?
Please remember that there's 5 minutes per question.
Sure. I'll start with your earlier remarks. We felt it was important. I listened to a number of the previous sessions in which the IRA definition was raised, in which it was claimed that 90-some% of Jews in Canada are Zionist, even though there was a recent study showing that it's actually only 51%. There were various claims made about protests and things like that I felt that we needed to use our time here, right? I myself needed to use my time here to dispel. The policy related to issues of anti-Semitism is focused on the IRA definition. It is fundamental to the way in which Canada approaches these questions. So I felt it was very important to address that. Regarding our office, CJPME is a close ally of ours. We do not have we have 5 staff and 26 chapters across the country. We do not feel the need to have a physical office besides a mailing address. So they simply offered to host our mailbox.
Thank you for that answer. Canadians for Justice and Peace in the Middle East, colleagues.
I'd like to respond. May I also respond, please?
I have another question for you. I think I got an answer, and the answer is just to
you got an answer.
Pardon me?
If we have 5 minutes, I'd like to use some of the time to respond.
Well, you both represent both organizations, and I just simply asked if you have shared offices with the Canadian for Justice and Peace in the Middle East organization. The answer was yes.
That's really not all you said. With all respect, Senator, that is not all you said.
Go on.
Some of what you said requires a response.
Go on.
Okay. You, who I do not believe lives in the Jewish community, just said that there's intolerable circumstances that the Jewish community is living in. I'm a Jew. I've been a Jew for more than 73 years. My family's Jewish. My friends are Jewish. People in my synagogue are Jewish. None of us live in intolerable circumstances. What you just did is an exact example of why we're talking about false accusations of anti-Semitism and extreme exaggerations of the circumstances that Jews in Canada live in to score political points to suppress important, legitimate expressions of support for Palestinians who you just dismissed in your introductory remarks. And I'll leave it there, but I think you've just illustrated perfectly why we need to talk about the legitimacy of the IRA definition.
So, colleagues, for the record, the organization IJV shares offices with Canadians for Justice, Peace in the Middle East. I welcome you to do any research on that organization. It's an inherently anti-Israel based organization. Second of all, with all due respect, sir, I do live within the Jewish community. Born and raised, proud to represent the close to 90,000 Montrealers of Jewish faith in this institution. And I can tell you the vast majority are very proud of the advocacy I do on their behalf. Now, Mr. Rabbi Mifasir, if I may, ask you a simple question. You posted on February 18, 2024, that organizations supporting Israel deserve to be, and I quote, destroyed. Do you still stand by that quote?
10 seconds. So do you want to put that to second round? Senator Housakos?
I think it warrants an answer, so maybe we can give him more than 10 seconds to answer, and I think colleagues will agree that this particular quote deserves clarification.
I'll allow that. Go
by
ahead,
the
please.
rabbi.
Yeah. Well, considering that Israel is conducting a genocide, pushing Palestinians off their land, killing them every day, I do believe that organizations that support that state should be destroyed. They should not function. And being anti-Israel is not being anti-Semitic. You started your comments by saying that we're in the wrong committee. So let's talk about anti-Semitism instead of talking about what you just brought up, which is being anti-Israel. I stand on myself being anti-Israel. I lived there for 4 years. I read, speak, and write Hebrew. I read Israeli newspapers in Hebrew every day. And I'm anti-Israel. I have no problem saying that in a Senate committee. More and more of us need to say that.
Your comments were
that's
inflammatory. Your comments were inflammatory. It doesn't matter if you speak Hebrew, French, English, or whatever. In Canada, those kind of comments are unacceptable, and those are the kind of comments that fuel hatred, fire bombings of synagogues.
That is
and
enough.
other
That is
violent
time,
activities.
Senator Housakos.